My name is Ted MacDonald. I am based in London, England. I've been here 34 years, before that, Toronto. And I work for a financial sort of regulator, is probably the best way to think of it. And before that, I spent my lifetime in wholesale banking in Canada and in Europe. And I'm a graduate of Ivy, and I came across the character program at Ivy and have been involved with it from that day forward. Well, it is an interesting story, I think, to me at least. Being a graduate of Western and Ivy, I was approached to be a member of the UK board of directors for Western, which I agreed to do. Later on, I chaired that board for almost a decade. But when I changed my role from working in industry, I agreed to go to the regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority, to help out there as an advisor in wholesale bank supervision. So I thought, I called the dean of the business school, and who I've met a couple of times, and asked him, was there anything going on at Ivy or anywhere else really that he thought might be sort of useful for me to look at, or maybe incorporate a little bit or pass along to others in my role at the FCA, because I thought perhaps I can introduce some things, because that's kind of the role of being a board member as well. And he said, well, you should speak to Gerard Sates and Mary Crossan. And so the following day I did, and realized that I'd already been involved in their program since 2008. And this was 2014, 15, when this happened. In 2008, I was given a box load of the original pamphlet that was produced by Ivy on like what went wrong, what happened, what did we learn, which suggested character, competence, and commitment were the three things. And in my role, I distributed that box all over the city, and remembered the character elements of it, but it wasn't front of mind, to be honest. But after speaking with Mary for like half an hour, I think, or Gerard, I read everything that they would send me, and there was a steady stream over the next month. And I thought that it made a huge impression, because I thought this was the most powerful, potentially impactful concept for personal and organizational development that I had seen. So I thought, I want to dig into this. I want to carry this forward, and I want to help. It was easy conceptually to get to grips with. And I remember discussing with Bill Furlong how, Bill, there's at least 10 things wrong with this model, and let's go through them one by one. And I had this list, and he's going, oh my God, Ted's going to do it to us. And we went through the list, and we sort of knocked them off one by one, like, 11 dimensions, that's a lot. Oh, it's too many to think about. Well, is it really? It sort of is for like a day and a half. And then it isn't, because you realize that everything ricochets off everything else, and it's all so connected. And we sort of went through the list one by one like that. And that was a compelling revelation that this is actually easy to introduce, which I've then proceeded to do at junior and senior levels at the Financial Conduct Authority. And that also, I think, made a big difference in cementing the value of it. I've spent a lot of my time as the UK advocate of the Leader Character Program, introducing it all over the place and getting pretty positive results, mostly. But often those positive results or positive feedback would last for about 20 minutes because people didn't know what to do next. And even I suffered from that a little bit, like, what can I do? And Mary is very helpful in sending me stuff, and I participated in a lot of sessions where she was presenting and whatnot. So I kept it very much sort of alive in front of mind. And I did get into into the weeds, as they say, on the concepts. But I was 90% advocate, 10% active student. And I thought, well, here's an opportunity where I can really get into it and roll my sleeves up and just let it really sink in. And I thought that was worth doing. I hesitated for about half an hour, Corey. And then I thought, no, I'm going to do it. And I thought, press the send button. And here I am. Because I wanted to give myself that sort of gift for a year of getting into it absolutely every day, because I was haphazard, ad hoc up to now. And I think you know my record. I'm pretty much every day, which is useful because it gradually changes over time. No, I mean, it's like a couple of minutes a day, and I do it probably 3 times a day because I want to make sure I don't miss, and I have missed, but don't tell anyone. I have missed a day. I look at it in the morning. I looked at it sort of midday sometimes to remind myself what's my session. I was at the gym this morning. I thought I better look and remind myself, smile at a stranger, it says. So I did a lot of grinning when I was at the gym today. And that's pretty much the easiest suggestion that I've seen so far, smile at a stranger. But then you notice, actually, you get a lot of smiles back. And then you also notice that you get a lot of smiles without being first. It's out there. So you just sort of tune into that layer of community, I will call it. So that's not like a revelation to me, but it's a reminder to live in it more often, I think, or more continuously. Well, the big benefit already is by doing it every day, because I helped out on the app, and I helped out on the app before that app, and but it was very sort of ad hoc. I might do it on Monday and do it again on Thursday, and then not do it for a week, and then do it 2 days in a row. When you do it every day, it just brings the whole thing up a level. And I'm known very much in the city as that character guy, or in my milieu, is one of the topics that Ted's more than likely going to raise when I'm on a panel or something like that. And I do. But getting into this layer a little bit more on a daily basis was the real benefit. Well, it's this thing about, maybe if you can do 5 push-ups, you think you're pretty good, but if you never go to the gym, you might hurt yourself. But if you do, an extra push-up every day, suddenly you find you can do 10 or 20, or I can do 15 easily, and did so this morning. But the thing about it is it does elevate like around the whole wheel, so that you're a little bit more conscious without trying, and it does sort of pop into your mind without having to, where is that thing, and let's have a look at it, and try and remind myself it's right there, without having to reach for the piece of paper. So I think that's a big benefit. It's not hard. Well, it's the nature of the interconnection, because I'm how would I describe this? I enjoy my time at the office. I'm generally sort of open and friendly most of the time, and I like engaging with people in discussion. I do a lot of quasi-interviewing work, research work, and publication follows from it. But it's also about connecting with the person you're talking to, or the group that you're talking to, and getting a sort of a deeper sense of what they mean and what they're trying to convey. And also because I collaborate and I write with others. I might be holding a pen, but I'm reliant on the membership of the Financial Market Standards Board to, help drive forward the messaging. And so it's an important thing to connect as best you can with these individuals one by one, and to stay with them. That's a skill to go that sort of extra layer. It makes it more interesting because you get a little bit deeper than how's it going and what'd you do in the weekend. Getting to know people, you get a different sense of drivers, why they're doing what they're doing anyway. Why are you involved in this project with me? How'd that happen? And what do you want to get out of it? I'm such a big fan of improv. I consider it one of the great strokes of luck that I've had was to have as one of my first deals getting involved with Second City and Saturday Night Live, and sort of seeing that improv and watching them do it just was like mind-blowing, and so fluid and eventually relaxed, and using these little skits as warm-ups for sessions. People talk about that endlessly, and they so remember how you felt when you were done in that last minute. What did that feel? Hold that, hang on to that. You're in the zone. That's what the zone feels like. And there's an elation factor in there, that people have sort of let go of things, which I think is like great. He was looking at moving from an educational role, and before that it was sort of a student role, and it sort of had job elements, but it wasn't like a career job the way you might normally think of when you set off in a business career of some kind. But he saw that coming his way as a professional coach, and and the business of it and the negotiation skills to get it, which is what he was keen on. And he thought right away that perhaps I could be helpful with that. I know that crossed his mind. He told me that. But also generally he saw that I'd been involved in the program for quite a while, somehow or other, and I thought that would be interesting as well. So that's how it started, and I thought right away, yes, let's do this. So I wasn't thinking about partnering when I joined. I didn't know that was going to be one of the things we would do. I was going to ask my wife to, my own partner to provide feedback now and then, because it's always like on the money. And but then Tim came out of the blue, and so we need to meet more. To be honest, we've had a couple of conversations, and then we met up for a social session in the city, and I think we're due for another one now. But it's been interesting because we're as different as can be. I think the interesting bit to see, because you don't see much, what you do see is the number of moods that have been ticked as sort of impactful that day. I have a set that are pretty much always there, and it's I would say it's pretty stable and continuous, like same old, pretty regular. And Tim is different because of what he's doing right now. Educationally, it's the end of the PhD program where you're cracking out that thesis, and it's fine, tedious work. There's a bit more swinging going on, and there's a big job change that he was negotiating. That's a big thing. Big life changes for him, changing where he's going to be living and all that sort of thing. For me, I'm about as stable as you get. Right now, there's nothing, there's no job changes, no moves, nothing like that. Everybody's healthy, etc. So it's interesting for those two reasons. You were in quite different roles in our career. I'm tailing off. He's rocketing up. He's under sort of a lot more stress and change. I'm not. So I think it's an interesting pairing to see how we look at the same kind of topics in collaboration and humanity and as we go around the wheel. But it's also good we have periodic phone calls, but we need to regularize that a bit more in order to be able to provide a bit more feedback, perhaps on what we see in the other person at times. Otherwise, you're guessing. I like the idea of navigation, orientating yourself and navigating, because in risk management, where I spent quite a lot of the second half of my career, many try to avoid risk, and I was always trying to take risk and make money from it, and was reasonably good at it. And I think it's important to have the balance of navigating, taking risk at the right price, if you want to frame it that way, and knowing the balance of risks. I would do things today which I couldn't do things today which were easy before, because they're riskier for me today than they were. I wouldn't get on the slalom course and run 36 miles an hour today, when before that was easy. Today it wouldn't last very long. But it's the same in all walks of life. You can still sort of learn quite a lot and develop quite a lot. So I think this model, there's more to be discovered about how to get it to embed more easily without it becoming hijacked by something that you might not like virtues and vices you might not like, because that's personally challenging, or the idea of judging or judging others, or measuring yourself and all that you might find unappealing. That's all. And so it might stop you. And I think perhaps if you're navigating, which is a little bit less emotive, that might be one of the ways to approach it. That's what I've been doing lately. When I introduced this to more junior staff or less senior staff at the Financial Conduct Authority, these are regulators. They've got a bit of experience, maybe not that much business experience as they do regulatory experience, but they're relatively young, like within 10 years of graduation sort of thing, and perhaps hadn't thought about the whole idea of concept of self, and how they behave and other people's behavior and that sort of thing, and the language that the character framework uses for them was like a jigsaw puzzle assembling on a tabletop for the first time in a coherent way that they could once again navigate it and understand what's going on. Because these people are often, as relatively junior, they're in meetings with the most senior people in the financial services industry. It's an intimidating crowd, and they're a bit rabbit in the headlights and what's going on, trying to understand it. And this framework helped them sort of slow time down just a little, so they could grip a little bit more the dynamics of what's going on, rather than it all just being a blur and coming out and going what's happened, and they would look to me and others to explain it to them, and I might have been in the same blur they were, if it weren't for the character framework, which is helpful.